That was an unmitigated disaster for President Biden.
I've never seen a politician at any level perform like Joe Biden performed.
Joe had the strangest, weirdest stare.
His answers were rambling and incoherent.
He looks like he's barely surviving. I don't mean the debate, I mean life.
There is a deep, a wide, and a very aggressive panic in the Democratic Party.
The question is, could it be that Democrats now have to reconsider?
I think that was the moment that everybody knew that Biden is done. I don't think Trump was lying. Welcome to my podcast. You've all seen the last presidential debate by Uncle Joe and Uncle Trump. And, boy, even if you are not a Joe Biden supporter, that was a hard thing to watch. Now let's dig right into it. Let's talk politics. In this video, we're going to be answering 3 questions. Is this the end of Joe Biden? Can he ever recover from what happened in that debate? Second question, will the Democrats now try to replace him, either by consent, the nice way, or the not so nice way? And third, and probably most important question for all of us, and I think specifically for the Democrats in the United States, a question that should trouble and worry every single one of you. What is going on behind the scenes in the Democratic Party of the United States of America?
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do.
Yeah,
with,
he's looking at him. He's like,
look.
Even Trump is starting to look like he's saying probably, well, this is not fair. This is like an overkill. I mean, guys, come on. You brought this guy to debate me. It's like, I don't even need to debate him. I just need to let him talk. Even his vice president, even his supporters were speechless. They were like,
It was a slow start. That's obvious to everyone. I'm not going to debate that point.
They're usually capable to just maneuver their way around almost any situation. That's politics to you guys. But they weren't able to maneuver around this disaster. They had to just say, well, it was a fumble. Quite a big fumble, I would say, for probably one of the most important days in that party's life. To secure the next election, which should come easily, or to lose it, which right now they have boosted the chances of losing to Trump. Undoubtedly.
It was agony in Atlanta for Joe Biden, for Democrats, and frankly for anyone around the world dreading another Donald Trump presidency, because the chances of another Trump presidency just increased.
It was just agony seeing an old man embarrass himself like this in front of the whole nation, in front of the whole world.
Now, please welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Even from the moment that he entered walking, you could skip a beat. You'll be like, whoa, this is not going to end well. It looks like he's struggling to get to the podium, not to even start the debate.
Looks like he was going to barely make it to the podium.
He's 81 years old right now in this debate. What do you think is going to happen when he turns 82, 83, 84, 85, 86? It's probably not going to get better. Most definitely. I mean, unless some kind of a miracle AI cure is going to be invented in the next few years, reduce, I don't know what, that Benjamin Button style, and bring people back to become young, I don't see this getting any better.
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president, what Mr. Trump left me.
Joe Biden sounded hoarse. His energy level appeared to be low. And at multiple points during the debate, he lost his train of thought.
We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out a position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, but there's more to be done. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 million, billion dollars, I should say.
Losing his line of thought, losing his unable to complete a simple sentence is something that is very troubling for someone who is supposed to convince the people that he should be the leader of the greatest nation on earth. Let's continue watching.
I'll be the first to admit that that was not a good look in that debate last night.
What does that guy, meaning Joe Biden, look like in 3 years in a negotiation with a world leader? I don't want to find out the answer to that question.
Biden gave a very shaky performance. And I think the real danger for him is that this was a performance that reinforces concerns voters already had about him. We know the biggest thing voters worry about when it comes to the president is his age.
There are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Look, I think that was the moment that everybody knew that Biden is done. I mean, I don't think Trump was lying at this statement. When he said, I honestly don't know what he's saying. I don't think that he even knows what he's saying. And usually Trump jumps when he smells blood. Usually Trump on these debates, when he finds a way to humiliate, to crush his opponents, he just goes full on, and he does it. He does it good, whether you like it or not. But even here, I feel Trump was having this basic human instinct of saying, like, you know what, this is like too much. Too much, guys. Could be a great PR stunt, or could be he was just genuinely saying, this guy lost it. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, why should I even answer that? And in that moment, I feel most Americans, and I'm wondering if most Democrats realized finally that Joe Biden might not be fit anymore to be the president of the United States. I'm saying that because I have friends from both sides of the spectrum. I have good friends that are Democrats and I have good friends that are Republicans. And I often talk to both sides because I want to get a clearer picture about the US politics. I know I'm not an American. I'm not going to pretend to know your country better than you. And sometimes they give me good arguments from both sides, I have to say. And sometimes they give me all kind of stuff that I feel like they tell me like, yeah, you know, Joe Biden is not... He's sharp. He's just playing this game. That's like one of his cards. He's playing that. He pretends to be stupid. He pretends to be incoherent. He pretends to have dementia just to kind of confuse everybody. And even then, I was like, come on, guys. Seriously? And now, if they still say that now, you need to be capable of some extreme Olympic level of mental gymnastics to come and really believe that. What kind of backflips in your head do you need to make to actually believe that Joe Biden is still capable of running America? I gotta tell you, in my last job, sometimes we'll get a complaint that there's an elderly man and he's walking around the ship and he doesn't know where he is. Sometimes he doesn't know who he is even. And what my staff would do, the detectives and everyone, they usually will call the family members in a friendly and very direct manner to tell them, listen guys, you gotta be responsible for this man. If you can't hold him accountable, you can't stay here because it can become an unsafe environment for him. So you can't possibly think that Joe Biden can be leading America and leading the world, standing in front of world leaders, standing in front of countries that want to start a nuclear war or want to invade other countries and I don't know what, and destroy the economical stability, the military, the peaceful stability of planet Earth. And that's the guy that you think is going to become the next Winston Churchill. That's the guy who's going to think is going to become the next, I don't know what, Moses, who will deliver his people from the hand of Pharaoh and take them through the desert until he opened the Red Sea and bring them to the promised land. That's what a leader should be doing. Someone that you can believe in him, that he's going to take you through the hardest times and bring you to the best possible outcomes. Well, come on, guys. Really? Let's continue.
I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag.
Are you talking about golf?
Think you can do it?
He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was at 8 handicap. 8. But I have,
the fact that Biden decided to bring gold.
Let's not act like Joe. President Donald Trump didn't prepare nearly as much. He went to a rally.
He didn't need to.
He did podcast interviews, and someone asked him, "How are you preparing?" He said, "I'm preparing by taking questions from you," which is not traditional debate prep. Biden did not only do traditional debate prep, which is you have a mock debate in a mock studio. he holed up with his advisors at Camp David for an entire week.
You know how that feels? That feels like when you watch an MMA fight and you have one champion or, contender that is just so confident in himself that comes and says, I don't need to train. Like, I don't know, John Jones. Before a fight, he goes, he parties, he does whatever he wants, and says, I'm going to take him down. How can you be so confident? Well, look at my opponent. I feel like Trump felt the same thing. Like, I don't need to prepare. I just need to let this guy talk.
What I did, for example, he wants to get away with, get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies.
I think many people knew that. And that's why probably CNN and others were putting all these regulations and restrictions that were unheard of until now in presidential debates, muting the mic and et cetera, to try to make it as a fair fight as possible. Giving soft gloves and making all kind of rules in this match to make it as easy as possible for Joe Biden to survive. I'm not even saying to win or crush it. I don't think anyone thought that he can, which is really weird. I mean, what were they thinking? And we're gonna talk about that in a minute. What was the thought process, maybe possibly behind letting Joe Biden go to that debate and not officially nominating him as their candidate while still letting him go to this debate. Usually what happens is they will officially nominate, that's our candidate for the next elections. I mean, you can come and say, yes, obviously he is the reigning president, so it's obviously going to be the next candidate, but still, usually there's an official call for that. But here I felt that they chose not to do that. And, let's talk about it right now, before we go on. I think the reason that they did not officially nominate him, but still decided to run with that horse, so they kind of said, well, listen, who knows? I mean, maybe the people still love him. Maybe he's still going to crush him. Let's feel the water. Let's feel the water before we take that horse out of the race.
Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400.
I mean, let's be honest. He wasn't that far a few years ago. He was already then showing signs of dementia, of being too old, too mentally and physically unfit to become the president, can barely walk upstairs and can barely finish a sentence. But he still won. He was still the best candidate we had to take down Donald Trump. So let's give him another chance. And if not, then we will know where we are and we can know if we're going to continue with that horse or try to get another horse. I think that's what probably happened.
We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Biden.
And we should encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make childcare more affordable?
I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
that last look in his eyes, if I was a family member of Joe Biden, I would be so hurt, so embarrassed, so ashamed, so angry that people have allowed my father or grandfather to embarrass himself like this toward the end of his days. Because, leaving a last impression is a very important thing. That's why, champions usually try to quit at the top. So people will remember them. Khabib Nurmagomedov and others, people will remember them as they were in their prime and not just go down and get embarrassed and get, humbled and shredded to pieces. And in that case, I'll give it to Trump. Trump didn't really try to embarrass or crush him. He was just standing there and just, kind of making faces. Even at the end, you can see he's unable to have the basic situational awareness. Are they talking to me? Are they talking to Trump? It's not my time. They asked the question to Trump. I guess they probably even looked at Trump when they asked that, but he was unable to figure out these social cues that are so important when it comes to human interaction. That was so important for day-to-day situations and definitely for leadership situations. And we're talking about situations that can lead the world in or out of a nuclear catastrophe or out of an apocalypse. It's very important to have someone that have these instincts that can understand what's going on. Situational awareness, survival instinct, political survival instinct. I think in that moment, if there were so many nails in that coffin, and that was just a no turning back point.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary
That's how Trump makes the best. This is how Trump made the most out of it.
With the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look,
See, that's when Trump nailed the final hammer in that coffin.
we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
And I think that was one of the absolute low points for the president in last night's debate. He lost his train of thought. He had an exceptionally long pause.
Biden couldn't get back to the road. He just failed to articulate the case for his own presidency. And it happened early in the debate when there's the largest viewership, and it's going to make history. It was a moment people will remember forever, as long as they remember these debates. Biden was incapable of articulating a case for himself. He struggled to connect basic facts together, struggled to make the elevator pitch for his presidency, which you think would be a relatively simple thing for an experienced politician to do.
He continually lost his train of thought, mumbling, bumbling, stumbling, fumbling, dazed and confused.
He did nothing to disabuse, I think, the country of the notion that he is very old and was lost frequently.
I'm not going to spend all night with you talking about the last 90 minutes when I've been watching the last 3.5 years of performance.
You don't turn your back because of one performance. What kind of party does that?
His job was to calm his party, to make them feel that, yes, I can do this. I have 4 more years in me. He did not do that. No. He did the opposite of that.
Big time the opposite. So yeah, probably the worst presidential debate in America that I've seen so far. A debate where it was clearly that one side was so outnumbered, outgunned compared to the other side. And here comes the question, and I said we're going to be talking about 3 questions here. First question is going to be, what did the Democrats even think by letting this show happen? It was clear beyond imagination, even to people who are not around Joe Biden and have seen enough videos. In an era that they're probably trying to silence these images of him fumbling and falling down the stairs, barely able to walking around disoriented, looking around, can't find what is right, what is left, had to be walked off stages, barely capable to compose a whole sentence, drifting with his thoughts, talking about all kind of weird stuff. Even in that area where we know that the Democrats are actually pretty good at this propaganda machine of silencing people, canceling people, controlling and mingling in all kinds of social media platforms and pushing their fingers deep in to make sure that you cannot find these evidence, and the first thing that will pop up will be something against their candidate, and etc. Even the masters of propaganda, I would say, are unable to hide this kind of information anymore. And thank God for us, and unfortunately for them, they're still required to have live debates. And in live debates, it's much harder to hide these things, to edit them out. And here, seeing that debate made it undoubtedly clear that Biden is not fit cognitively, that he is probably clinically confirmed, medically confirmed, suffering from some kind of dementia. He's just getting old, physically and mentally. He is not capable of running this country. So why did they even allow him to go to that debate? But here comes another curveball. Why did they not officially nominate him as their main candidate nominee? And I think it's because of that. I think they wanted to come and say, you know what, guys? I mean, this is the horse that we have right now for the race. We won the last race with it. Let's try again just now to see if he's still capable of winning the race. Maybe the people will still rally behind him. Maybe he will pull it off. Maybe people love him so much or hate Donald Trump so much that we'll still elect him. That worked for us last time. And even last time he was not the most promising candidate. We kind of seen serious signs of getting old back then, of mentally and physically being possibly unfit to become the president, and we still won. Maybe we'll win this time. And if not, then at least we'll know that this is not our horse for the race. And then we can probably think about getting another horse. What bothered me the most is seeing an elderly man being humiliated and embarrassed like this, not by anyone else. Donald Trump, to give him the credit, at least in this debate, did not try to bully him, did not try to crush him down or debate him into a point that he makes him look like an idiot. He literally just stood there and kind of said, I don't know. I don't even understand what he's saying, and I do think that he was being honest about that, which played very well in his favor. He held himself, he had the right composure, and just allowed Biden to destroy his chance of winning the United States election. That's my opinion. But that brings me to the next point, which is any numbskull can see right now that obviously there is no chance that Biden can win the next election. I mean, if he's like this right now, and he is the president of the United States, that is the strongest, richest, most powerful nation on the face of this earth. The nation that will probably one day colonize Mars and lead the whole space travel and research. If they don't have the medical expertise and technology and knowledge to help him recover from that, then it's not going to get any better. It doesn't get any better to anyone. We are still under the time frame of aging, of biology. People who get to that point usually don't get better with time. They're it can be even rapidly dropping from here. And that's when you have elderly homes. That's when you send people to their houses, to their loved ones, to spend the rest of their days being catered and cared for, not put them to become the leaders of the free world. Obviously, if you ask me, undoubtedly, the Democrats are going to need now to choose how they're going to go ahead. Are we going to stick with this horse and lose the race? Obviously, the other horse is much faster, much sharper, much more favorable right now. Or are we going to try to bring another horse to the race? And if that's the case, two questions arise. Will Joe Biden agree? Come say, you know what, guys, you're right. I'm going to step out. I embarrass myself. I'm not fit, clearly, and I'm just going to fade into the horizon. Or is he going to say, no, I'm still fit? Because what happens if he says that? Are they going to let it happen? Or are they going to find, hey, here's the nice way. You better listen to us. And if he doesn't listen to the nice way by consent, maybe the not so nice way?
Biden is not going anywhere if Biden doesn't want to go there. This is somebody who has been running for president off and on since 1983. And I don't know that he would be willing to walk away from the presidency after one term.
I mean, I'm not saying what they're going to do, but
one thing watching American politics the last few years has taught me is to never declare anything impossible, because anything can happen.
You don't need to be a tin-foiled redneck full of conspiracy theories coming out of his bum. These parties, these people, these elites are capable of going to an extreme extent when they need to silence someone, to cancel someone, to change a narrative. And let's not go too far. Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, come on. He had dirty laundry, some serious dirty laundry about the top elites and leadership of America and maybe the world. He ends up in extreme top secured prison and just so happened to end up killing himself. The cameras were not working. The guard fell asleep just before he was able to go and testify live and tell the world what he knows. So if these things can happen, obviously they happened, what's going to be the strategy that they're going to use to make sure that Biden doesn't keep running if he chooses to, let's say, stand his ground? I'm not saying they're going to make him disappear. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm just saying they have proven to be willing and capable to go to extreme measures to get what they want. There is billions of dollars, there's politics, there's life, future shifting moves that you can do when you are the ruling party of the strongest nation on the face of this earth. And I'm 100% sure that we're going to have some interesting days ahead of us. Let's just see it that way. And let's see who is going to be the next candidate. Is it going to be Kamala Harris? Is it going to be Michelle Obama? Who is it going to be? Is it going to be some kind of an AI agent bot? And they're going to say, okay, guys, you're on to us. The president doesn't really matter. It's just a puppet. And now we're just going to go with this AI-generated puppet. Which leads me to the next point, which is probably the most concerning point, which is probably the point that if you are a true freedom lover, Democrat or Republican, especially Democrat at this point, someone who believes in democracy, you should be seriously concerned from what you just saw right now. Not because of the performance of Joe Biden, not because of Uncle Joe, but because it used to be days where when I would tell you about, you know what, the leader of Iran, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, is, I think that's his name, right? Let's Google it. The leader of Iran, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, He's not a real leader. He's not really democratically elected leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran. He's just a puppet that the religious elites in that country have decided to put him because he's going to say exactly what they want him to say. And he would not dare to say anything else. And that was quite obvious for anyone who knew liberal politics, that dictatorship around the world that pretend to be democracies, they do that. But no one ever said that America is doing that. Or at least if they said that, they were considered conspiracy theorists. Now, the curtains are down. The veil is removed. It's undoubtedly that America is being run by someone behind the scenes, or a group of people behind the scenes, and the president, at least in the Democratic Party. I don't think in the case of Trump that's the case. I think he's definitely free agent, powerhouse, bulldozer, whatever you want to call it. And maybe that's why he's pissing so many people. Again, I'm not taking sides here. I'm just kind of stating what is obvious to the side observer. Someone like me who's not an American, just watching American politics. Democrats should be really worried because the veil went down. And it's clear that there's powers and people behind the scenes. If it's billionaires, big tech companies, elites, bureaucrats, or maybe all together running the show, because it's beyond any doubt, as clear as daylight can be, that Uncle Joe is not running the show. Joe Biden cannot be running the show like this. You know, I served in leadership positions in numerous situations in my life, in the army, outside the army, and with volunteers, with professional organizations, and it can be intense. Being a leader can be intense. You need to be sharp, you need to be extremely keen about situational awareness, being capable of making the right calls in the moment, refraining from saying things and saying the right things, so nothing is going to corner you later on, so you can keep working towards the goal that you're trying to achieve. This is basically ABC of politics. Biden obviously cannot do that. And it didn't start today. It started several years back, maybe even when he was elected. There were already clear signs there that was showing that he might be suffering from some kind of a dementia or just getting old and being unfit physically and mentally to run this country. And these signs just increase and increase. And as much as they tried to hide them, they were unable to hide them. And like I said, thank God for live videos. Live videos who are still and should always be a necessity and a demand by the people, help you clear that suspicion that someone can re-edit and change the narrative. I mean, who knows with AI, how are we going to trust live videos in the future? But at least for now, we are kind of capable to say, okay, that was a live video. That was not an AI generated and that was not edited because it was aired live streamed around the world. If you are an American citizen, and I'm being very serious right now, you can come and say, hey, what do you care? It's not your business, Manso. You're just an Arab from the Middle East. You're not an American. Why do you care about American politics? Well, I'll tell you what, it is in some way my business. It is my business because I live in the West. Because I'm a father to a child who's going to grow up in a Western society. I have a family that lives in the West. I live in the West. And I really hope that the West will stay the West based on human rights, democracy, freedom, and etc. and etc. And for that to happen, America plays a huge role of being the bouncer of that club, of being the keeper, the guardian of that gate, of being the someone that while he is running the show, other bad people are afraid of trying to change the West and take it over and destroy it and bring us back to the Stone Age, or I don't know what, under some kind of a religious communist regime. So yes, America is important for me. And it is important for me that America have a strong, capable leader. And right now, I don't know. It doesn't look like it. I mean, a curveball might be Kennedy. The young, new, rising Kennedy. I don't know enough about him. I've kind of seen a little bit of videos. Feel free to add comments and, maybe share some experiences or whatever you think. But it looks like he is independently running because the Democrats don't like him. At least the bureaucrats there kind of don't like him because he's coming and saying, I'm going to clean that swamp as well. And he's coming and saying that they have stolen the Democratic Party from the people, from the Democrats, from his family. And he seems to be pretty strong and pretty sharp. Yes, his talk is a little bit, but I don't think that affects how his brain works or his physiques. He seems to be like a very fit, healthy person. So he might be an interesting candidate, but that's not this. I would love to see the debate between him and Trump, let's say it that way, but not a debate between Joe Biden. He is clearly unfit. It was embarrassing, and it was disrespectful towards an old man to finish his days in politics like this. Well, anyway, thank you guys for coming and sticking until the end. If you enjoyed today's show, as always, please feel free to click the subscribe, like, share, leave a comment, and see you in the next episode. Oh, and don't do anything stupid. In general, don't do anything that I would do.
I love that guy. That's a good man. He loves his country. He's doing the best that he can. But he had a test to meet tonight to restore confidence of the country and of the base. And he failed to do that. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now.